Next will be, so thank you very much for the excellent presentation, questions then in the discussion. And next will be Eva Rosenberge from the Austrian Federal Ministry for Climate Action, Environment, Energy, Mobility, Innovation, and Technology. Yeah.
Hello, thank you very much for the invitation and the kind introduction. Maybe I'd like to mention first that the Ministry of Climate Action doesn't exist anymore.
Oh.
We are now a member of the Ministry of Agriculture and Forestry.
Okay, good to know.
Yeah.
As an Austrian, I should have known that.
Because the government has changed, and yeah, we have been now we're a member of the Agriculture and Forestry. So I will start because we are a little bit late, I think. So I will start the presentation.
Yeah. Perfect.
So.
Yeah.
Does work. Okay.
Works. Perfect.
I would like to give you an overview of the Austrian funding program in the field of circular economy, which is closely linked to the Austrian circular economy strategy. The circular economy strategy was developed under the management of the Ministry of Climate Action and adopted by the Austrian federal government in December 2022. It is in line with European legislation such as the Green Deal, the Circular Economy Action Plan, the Eco-Design Ordinance, the Right to Repair Directive, the Packaging Ordinance, and so on. And it forms the basis for the development and implementation of concrete actions for the transformation of the economy and society into circular economy. The visions are to transform the Austrian economy and society into climate neutral, sustainable, and circular economy by 2050, and a massive reduction of resource consumption and waste generation, as well as a comprehensive supply coverage through biogenic and secondary raw materials. Okay. So that's better. The vision is translated into strategic goals. The goals are set out in 4 points: in the reduction of resource consumption and resource use, in avoiding waste, in reducing greenhouse gas emissions, and in avoiding environmental pollution by contaminants. These goals shall be measured by operational goals on the right side here on this slide, like the reduction of resource consumption or the increasing the domestic resource productivity or increasing the circularity rate. These figures are measured and reported regularly. The first processing report has been done yet and is also published on our website. The strategic goals are derived from the vision, and it is clear that to be successful, it is necessary to be active in many sectors. The strategy points out 7 main important sectors. First of all, the construction industry. The aims are there to have buildings, that the buildings shall be circular in the future. They shall be planned to be modular. The duration and use of buildings should be extended, and material from the construction and demolition sector shall be recycled and reused. In the field of plastics and packaging, it is the aim to avoid plastics and packaging and to keep them long in circulation, to improve the product design to reuse and multi-use packaging. Concerning mobility, connected with waste, batteries, a focus point. Batteries should be sustainable and circular. They will become more and more important in the future. The public transport shall be supported, and user-oriented mobility solutions should be found. Textile industry is another focal point. Circular design is a big topic there, to use the textiles longer, to fight fast fashion and overproduction and overconsumption, and to improve the separate collection and recycling. In the field of electrics and electronics, Long life and duration is a main topic. Also the repair and reuse of appliances that are not used anymore, and recycling, including battery, shall improved. In the field of waste and secondary raw materials, the supply and demand for secondary raw materials should be increased. Sorting and recycling technologies shall be innovative, and information exchange is necessary along the value-added chain. Biomass, here it's the aim to develop renewable raw materials and to promote biogenic products and strengthen also the regional value-added chains. Directly linked to these fields and programs, the economic funding program was developed. First, I would like to start with a very short introduction in the legal framework concerning subsidies on an EU level, which is a very broad topic. But what is of main interest for us, it is clear that one of the main aims of the central principles of the European Union is the competition and the free market. And so the Treaty on the European Union and the Treaty on the Functioning of the European Union states in Article 107 that state aid is generally banned to avoid distortions of competition. But the EC Regulation 6451 declaring certain categories of aid compatible with the internal market. So this means that in these areas that are defined in this EC regulation, state aid is allowed. And Article 47 is the most important article from our point of view, because it allows investment aid for waste recycling and reutilization. As well of interest is training aid and aid for environmental studies. I would also like to mention the EC regulation on the application of the treaty to de minimis aid. De minimis is mainly of interest for smaller companies because it allows higher funding rates. If companies don't get more subsidies than 300,000 per within 3 years. So this could be of interest for smaller companies. On national level, the basis for our funding is the Environmental Subsidy Act. The Umweltfördergesetz, it was amended 2023. And with this amendment, a special part for circular economy was introduced. It went into force in the beginning of 2024, and it defines the objectives, the framework, and the budget. On basis of this Environmental Subsidy Act, the funding guidelines have been published. They define in more detail the object of funding, who can apply for fundings, what are the funding volumes, the allowed funding rates, and how does it work, how's the processing. These guidelines are in force since the 26th of May last year. As you can see, it's almost 1 year now that we have installed this circular economy funding program. We have started immediately with 2 calls last year. They are closed now, but there's another call in this year. It started at the end of February and it is still open. The objectives, according to the Environmental Subsidy Act, are the reduction of resource consumption, the efficient use of resources and the prevention and recycling of waste, the production of secondary raw materials in high quality and low pollutant, the sustainable design of products, processes, and services, called circular design, and the extending the period of the use and the intensifying of the use of products. According to these aims, the first calls 2024 were started with 4 funding categories. The first one was circular design, because this is one of the main topics of circular economy. It meant the development and implementation of sustainable design concerning products, product use, and production processes. One focus was put on textiles. Projects concerning sustainable design and production, as well as reuse and recycling, could apply for a grant. The construction sector is always of interest. Special parts were part of the call, like the recycling of plaster, of insulating materials, of CFRP and fiberglass and wood ash. And one special topic where the funding for socio-economic enterprises who also work in the field of waste management, especially collecting, sorting, preparing for reuse and refurbishment of textiles, furniture, and electric appliances. The funding criteria stated that investments in plants and equipment and certain intangible measures, such as feasibility studies and employee training, are eligible. The subsidies are non-repayable grants, and the rate amounted from 40 to 60%, depending on the size of the company. As a result, 33 projects were approved for funding, and the funding volume that was granted was 26 million euros. The call 2025 may be of more interest for you until it's still open. The fields of funding are defined as circular design again, also sustainable business models, the sorting of separately collected waste, reuse, refurbishment, and preparation for reuse, as well as recycling. And these fields projects could be applied, can apply for funding if they are located in the areas of building materials, construction and demolition waste, plastic and metals, packaging, electrical and electronic equipment and batteries, textiles and mattresses, agricultural, raw and residual materials. As you see, it's again very broad. The topics are very broad. Yeah, it's a very broad call. And in addition to these fields, investments in certain plants in connection with the incineration of waste are also eligible. These are plants for the recovery of phosphorus from the incineration ash of sewage sludge incineration plants, and in connection also plants for the incineration of the municipal sewage sludge, as well as plants for the recycling of residues from waste incineration plants. The criteria for this funding, the funding is still paid out as a non-repayable subsidy. Eligible are investment costs in plants and equipment, and also certain intangible measures. Natural and legal persons can apply for this funding, as well as socioeconomic enterprises and organizations. The funding rates are still quite high. They amount from 30 to 50%, depending on the company size. And 80% are possible in the case of projects under the de minimis regulation or from non-competitors. And the funding volume is 61 million euros. Before I finish, I would like to mention that we started circular economy funding in the framework of the RRF, the Recovery and Resilience Facility, which is a program from the European Union funded by Next Generation EU. It was transformed in the Austrian Recovery and Resilience Plan 2022 and until 2026. And it included also funding programs in the field of circular economy amounting to 300 million euros. And the topics that were funded were the filling and washing systems for reusable beverage containers, reverse vending machines for reusable and disposable beverage containers, sorting plants for plastic packaging, and the repair bonus. Most of these funding programs have run out of money, so they are stopped now. And at the last point, I only want to give us a short introduction into the repair bonus, because it's quite well known also abroad. And some foreign authorities and companies regularly ask for information. The repair bonus is a funding program for private persons. It's contains the repair, service, maintenance, and cost estimates for electrical and electronic devices that are commonly used in private households, as well as for bicycles. 50% of the eligible costs can be funded up to a maximum of 200 euros or 30 euros in the case of cost estimates. We have used for this funding program 130 million euros from Next Generation EU and additional national funds. And up to now, so the program started in April 2022, 1.77 million repair vouchers have been redeemed and used for repair, service, and maintenance. And almost 6,000 partner companies are attending the program. I have added all the links concerning the topics I have mentioned. The Austria Circular Economy Strategy, you will find there the strategy as well as the progress report 2024. The funding call 2025. It's all the criteria can be found under Umweltförderung.at, and the repair bonus can be found on a special website. Thank you for your attention.